Ni hao, konnichiwa, shalom, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo.
Hey, bienvenidos! My name is Jed Lee. This is Reading with Your Kids. We're beaming out to you in the entire solar system from the beautiful, historical, book-loving neighborhood of Reedville, the loveliest neighborhood in all of Boston. You know, here at Reading with Your Kids, our mission is to help all families grow closer through reading. And we do that by introducing you to the coolest authors, the funniest tales, and a whole lot of reading inspiration for the whole family. We really hope that you'll help spread the word by telling all of your family and friends about the show and letting them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network. And they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Good Pods, Amazon Music, YouTube, Audible. Wherever you find your favorite shows, you can find Reading with Your Kids. We have a really inspiring episode for you today. First up, we welcome Mark Fava, former naval flight officer, longtime Navy Reservist, and an aerospace executive, to celebrate his debut picture book, Andy the Admiral and the USS Shipshape. Later in the show, we'll be joined by Nikki Girl, a 26-and-a-half-year military veteran, substitute teacher, and debut author of Omar and the Super Tales' First Day of School. Hey, if you are an author of a great children's book, I bet you're looking for a marketing partner, not just another award. If you're an independent children's author, you probably discovered something. Writing the book, that was actually the easy part. Now comes the hard part, helping readers discover it. At Reading with Your Kids, we created the Certified Great Read program because we know authors just don't need another award. They need a real marketing partner. When your book earns our Certified Great Read recognition, we don't simply send you a certificate and wish you luck. We get to work. Your book receives a thorough professional review. We post reviews on major retail sites. We create an announcement video and graphics that you can share for years. We feature a book on the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We write a professional press release. We prepare social media content. We even create a personalized 30-day celebration adventure filled with simple daily missions that help you connect with bookstores, schools, libraries, parenting groups, and the communities where children's books naturally thrive. Our goal isn't simply to tell you people that your book is great. Our goal is to give you the tools to keep telling that story long after the award announcement is over. Because we believe every wonderful children's book deserves a chance to find the children whose lives it can touch. If you'd like to learn more, please visit readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the Authors Click Here button at the top of the page and scroll on down to Certified Great Read. We'd be honored to celebrate your story. Joining us right now from the beautiful city of Charleston in South Carolina, our guest is here today to celebrate his debut children's picture book. It's called Andy the Admiral and the USS Shipshape. Please welcome to the show, Mark Fava. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. And there's no better podcast for me than being on yours for my debut book. So thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very kind as well. I should call you Captain Mark because you served our nation in the Navy for many years.
Yes, sir. I did 6 years active duty as a naval flight officer and then got out of the active component and transferred to the Navy Reserve and did 24 more years and just had a wonderful time doing that.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for your service. I'm probably going to get back to that because I'm very curious. But let's talk about Andy the Admiral and the USS Shipshape. What's this book all about?
Sure. It's, it's funny. I published my first adult leadership book about 1.5 2 years ago. And I was looking around and I was actually in church one Sunday morning and the pastor, the preacher was talking, his visiting pastor was talking about not only their adult book, but also their children's version. And I got to thinking, I said, wow, wouldn't that be neat if I take the same concepts of that book and boil it down and do it in a children's book? And it made it even better, Jed, because my my publisher had a children's print called Mascot. Matter of fact, he got his start doing children's books. So it was a no-brainer. And the book is really about taking those very simple and wonderful concepts that we learned in the Navy about teamwork, about working together, being on time, telling the truth, keeping the ship clean, and transferring those into a beautifully illustrated book that hopefully I can transfer those concepts to the younger generation.
Wow, it is needed. It is needed. I tell you, in the performing arts world, there's an expression, early is on time, on time is late.
Yes.
And I tell that to some young people, and they look at me like I have 12 heads.
I know.
You know,
we feel like such dinosaurs, but that's what I preach to. I've got 3 daughters, and I heard you, I know you said you've got some children. I've been preaching this to them, and they said, Dad, put it in a book. So I put it in a book for adults called Lessons from the Admiral. I wasn't the Admiral, but I was working for a boss that was the Admiral. And then I said, well, you know what? I'm going to transfer this to a children's book. And the first spread is Sammy the Seaman is running up the gangway. His hat is flying off. Everybody else is in line to get up the ship. And Andy the Admiral is looking at his watch saying, Sammy the Seaman is late once again. Being late is not great. And just trying to teach students those basic things, which are very important to learn very early.
I think so too, but we're living in a time that I know that there's somebody listening to this that's going to say, wait a minute, that's the part of the patriarchy and all this, being on time. What does it mean? I don't know. I don't talk to those people anymore, but, if one of them stops me, what should I say? Why are we, they're thinking we're obsessed with this being on time. I believe it. I think it's very, very important.
Yeah, listen, things happen, and there's clearly times where something gets in the way and we're not going to be on time. But I just think it's just basic human kindness, right? You're considerate of other people. You're on time. If you're going to be late, you let them know. I talk about being kind. I talk about saying thank you. I talk about telling the truth. I talk about saying please. And there's about 11 little things that I talk about in the book. And each one, somewhere on the side, there's a little admiral, and he says, be on time, tell the truth, always keep your word. Just those concepts, I think, are so important. And not everybody will agree with us, but I think they are.
I agree with you. Boy, we are old, aren't we?
Yes.
But those traditional lessons or whatnot, they've been with us for centuries. And I think it's despite whatever difficulties you might think that the United States has, this is still a pretty darn great country.
Absolutely. And I say that to folks all the time. I say, listen, we're not perfect. We've clearly got some challenges, but I can't think of any other better system. And we're blessed to be here and to live here. And, I will say everything I talk about in Andy the Admiral, I talk about for adults in Lessons from the Admiral, same concepts. And people can say, well, they're not relevant anymore. And I'll tell you, I've been, a vice president at the world's largest aerospace company for the last 16 years. Every one of those concepts in Andy the Admiral is very important to executives, to people assembling airplanes. They still are relevant.
Yeah. I think, and I think that's a great message, to help people understand, especially nowadays when I have young people in my life and they're like, everything's so expensive and I can't pay rent. I'll never be able to buy a house. And it's like, well, you can if you get into these certain fields. And if you want to get into these certain fields, these are the skills: being on time, working together, teamwork. These are the things that will get you those positions. Yeah. I talk about teamwork. I talk about one of the other lessons is work hard every day. Just do the best you can and work hard every day. And I'm not saying there's never an opportunity to play, because sure there has to be and there should be. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if you a lot of people say, oh, you're just so lucky. I say, well, it's a little bit of luck, a little bit of divine providence, but a lot of hard work and trying to do the right thing. And I think that's important to instill in our children very early, and do so in a fun way. I mean, the ship is a lot of fun. I mean, I've already pitched to an elementary school a couple of weeks ago, and I've got
I've got Easter eggs hidden throughout it. So, and I've got a key that you can look at and say, okay, can you find this or that? Or is this person telling the truth or not? And it was amazing immediately how I don't know, it's the first, second grade, third graders immediately caught on to some of my overheads and were saying, no, or do the right thing. It's important. So they know it. It's just reinforcement.
Yeah. It's obvious you're so passionate about this project. You've succeeded in a number of different areas. You just shared with us that you're a top executive at a giant corporation. You write a kid's picture book, and it's like, I'm looking at you, have a smile on your face, like, this is the best thing I've ever done in my life.
It really has been wonderful. People ask me what's the difference between it and the adult book or the leadership book that I published. A lot more joy, a lot more fun, and a lot more creativity. And I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm hoping I can pass those things along. And you're right. It's, we started it with Andy the Admiral, and I said, gosh, this should be a series. So I've got like 10 in my head. I'm already working on the next 2. The series it's a tongue twister. It's called the Ship Shape Shipmate series. And you can only envision what the first one's Andy the Admiral. The next, I'm looking at maybe some characters that are pilots, looking at maybe a rescue swimmer, but all reinforcing that teamwork and the action and the excitement, teaching kids that, hey, it's important to know how to swim. You want to be a pilot, look at what they did. And then just building on that series.
Boy, I'm glad the series isn't here because I know I would mispronounce one of those S words and we'd have to be bleeped.
In trouble. Yeah, I was thinking about doing that on an Instagram video, challenging people to say it 10 times because you're not going to be able to. And sometimes even I get it backwards. I say shipmate, ship shape, and it should be ship shape, shipmates. And it's plural, so it's mates with an S on the end of it.
Yeah. One of the things I love about reading with your kids is it's a fantastic way. It's obviously this fantastic way to talk about things, to bond with your kids, help kids start to read. But it's also, I think, the best way to instill values in our kids and to, instead of sitting down with them going, you got to do this, all that kind of stuff. It's like you read a story, you talk about the story and what's going on, and those values seep in there and they get planted and the roots go deep.
Right. And it's through storytelling, right? Storytelling is magical. I just finished a presentation at work for an hour and a half, and I was talking to a pretty senior group, and half of it was just telling stories to engage the audience so they remember the points, right? Because we all remember those points. And that really is the fun thing about, I think, this book and the series, because it just brings to mind so many of the things I did in the Navy that were important and the friends that I met. And, there's no boundaries. The Navy's not perfect, but I can tell you, you don't really care about skin color. You don't care about religion. You just care about getting the job done, and you care about each other. And that was very, very powerful.
I love that. I don't know, Mark, if you're aware, we are our studio is located in the Reedville neighborhood of Boston. And Reedville is famous for being the home. 2 blocks down from my house was a former parade ground for soldiers training to fight in the Civil War. And this was the home of the Massachusetts 54th, which was the first all-black Army regiment. Yep. So that military service, people going in there, and again, like you said, not perfect, but people learning how to work together despite our differences, it's taken root right 2 blocks down from my house.
Yeah, it's look, I was very purposeful in the book to make sure that there was the diversity of the characters in the book, and the pictures reflect the diversity of the United States Navy and the United States. So you'll see in the second and third books, I don't want to spill the beans, but there will be maybe Paige, the pilot, is female, right? Maybe Riley, the rescue swimmer. I'll leave it up to you. You think it's going to be a male or a female? That's just the really neat thing about it, because that's exactly the way it is in the military right now and in the Navy.
Yeah. And one of the things about the military is there's a place for everybody. Yes. You need electricians, you need cooks, you need executives, you need pilots and engineers.
Absolutely. A lot of the inspiration for this book, I didn't do any time on an aircraft carrier when I was in the Navy. And 2 or 3 years ago, my company offered me an opportunity to go out on a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier and watch carrier quals. And it was absolutely phenomenal because everybody on the deck had a role. They all have different color shirts, which memorialize that role. And I call it, just organized chaos. It was just beautiful. I mean, these planes are moving around on that deck. Everybody's working together. Everybody knows their responsibility. And the job gets done very professionally, very well. So, you'll see some carrier deck illustrations in Andy the Admiral, and even a plane landing with the tail hook down. And
wow.
A lot of that comes right from the pictures that I took on that one week trip.
Yeah. Hey, what was it like when you received your first author copy and you held it in your hands and you saw the illustrations that were created for the book? How did that feel?
It is probably the most emotional thing, because you've lived with this thing for a year. And like I said, I wanted to make sure that it was relevant and right and correct, not only for the children who aren't going to really know the difference in terms of the illustrations, but more so for the Navy parents. So as you mentioned earlier, how neat it will be for somebody who's in the Navy to sit down with their child and say, this is the way it is. And they're going to notice details and attention to details. I mean, one of the little details I talk about is, in the military, your belt buckle has to align, the edge of your belt buckle aligns with your fly. It doesn't go in the center, and we call that the gig line. So on the illustration, the first one I got back, the belt buckle was in the center, and I told the illustrator, you got to move this over. It needs to look like this. So much of the illustrations, I've really endeavored to make them to be authentic, and it just is such a prideful and powerful moment when you see those and you know the details that you've put in there. And really a big day, as you well know. Those are big days. The unboxing is pretty incredible.
Yeah. I'm wondering if there are any Navy folks out there just going through the book looking to see if they can find a mistake.
I'm sure. Yes, I did put out, I can't remember if it was on Instagram or Facebook, a picture of Andy the Admiral, and I corrected everything that I thought was right. Name tag is on the right side, medals are the right way, the hat was the cover was the right, try to look as genuine as it could. And someone told me his pants were too low. They were set too low on his hips. I'm like, okay. So I guarantee you there will be some folks who will say, hey, you should have done this, you should have done that. But that's the fun of it, right? That's like, okay, well, we've got, 8 or 9 more books in my hand. Maybe we'll get it right by then.
Well, I've never gone out on an aircraft carrier, but I did have the opportunity when I was a kid to, I had a cousin who was a shipmate on the USS Lexington. And it was docked in Boston for a time, I guess repairs at the time.
Yeah.
And he took me on, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this isn't a boat. It's a city. It was so huge.
It's a floating city. I read recently the statistics about the number of cups of coffee that are served, the number of meals that are served. To your point, if the food isn't right and on time and good, nobody's happy. So how critical it is for the mess decks and the people preparing the food to do that. And they do it every day, 4 times a day, morning, noon, night, and then they do mid-rats. So, but it is just unreal, the size and scale. And I was on there for just a week, and I had to make sure I knew exactly how to get from my room to the bathroom of the head, right? It's just like, especially in the night, they darken the ship and they turn on red lights, and you got to, you don't have a bathroom in your room, and it might be down the hall and around the corner. And then just getting down to the wardroom to eat was another thing. It was down the hall to the right, down the bulkhead, 3 more stairs, turn around the corner. It was not easy to find your way. It was very easy to get lost.
Yeah. And then going through those doors, because you got to step up over them. So
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, the knee bangers and, you'll hit your head. And, it was funny on this trip. I was with a bunch of early career engineers. So I was sort of, to our point earlier, I was sort of like grandpa. And they were racing up the ladderways and the stairwells. And, they'd turn around and say, you okay? I'd, yeah, I'm coming. They'd say, you want to go back up to the Admiral's deck or to the bridge? And I knew what that meant. That meant, climbing 6 more flights of ladders to go up. And I said, yeah, let's go do it. But it was, and you're right. You're either going to knock your knees if you're not careful, or you're going to hit your head as you're going up. You got to be very, very intuitive of what you're doing and where you're going. And eyes, we always say, keep your head on a swivel.
Boy, oh boy. A few years back, my beautiful wife and I took a trip down to the beautiful country of Panama. And we stayed in what used to be the Panama Canal Zone. Our hotel was there, and we took a trip to see the locks, and we saw a submarine come through.
Oh, did you?
We did, yeah. And, it's one of those things where I asked the people working there, I go, hey, where's that sub from? And they're like, don't ask.
Yeah.
Just look. Don't ask.
Yeah, it's so funny you said that because I was down there quite a lot. We used to fly out of there when we were doing operations in the Caribbean, and I saw the exact same thing. I'm at the locks, and actually I saw two small gunboats come in first, and I said, "What's going on?" And then right after it came a nuclear submarine. And same thing. No one knew it was coming, but I knew why the gunboats were there to get the help and to make sure that it got through safely. But the canal is absolutely fascinating, and you're right. It is such a beautiful country.
Yeah. I really, I love all the countries in Central America I visited, but Panama was just spectacular. And we went on a tour of the rainforest, which included a boat ride and some of the rivers that fed the lake, which makes up the main part of the canal. And we went out onto the lake, and we're on a little skiff. Maybe 20 people were on this little boat, and we went up alongside a cargo. It was the Empire State Building.
It's huge.
I never seen anything so big.
Yeah. When, we've got two big double diamond bridges, as you have in many places in the Northeast, but they go over Charleston Harbor, and same thing when those ships are coming in and out. I mean, they clear it looks like they're going to scrape the bottom of the bridge. They're just huge, especially these ones that have been designed to fit, just perfectly into the Panama Canal locks, right? You got a foot or two on either side, and they're as tall as they can be. But you're right. I often look at those and look at the bridge and think, gosh, what a marvel and what a wonder, right? Because there's probably one or two people on the bridge, and maybe 15 or 20 people, there, and maybe 10 in the engine room, and just unbelievable.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was like. I'm looking, I'm like, oh, there must be 1,000 people keeping that ship afloat. They're like, no, like about 20 maybe.
Yeah, it's no aircraft carrier. It's highly technological, and the captains are, brilliant, and they can maneuver those things, and pilots help them get in and out of the harbor, but it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons I love, and we're kind of off-roading here, but, we talk about, our kids and encouraging our kids to get into the STEM fields.
Yes.
And, boy, when you're talking about the maritime, whether it's the Navy or being a merchant marine, or you're talking about air travel, whether it's in the Air Force or in commercial aerospace, there are a lot of great careers for kids. And so if you think about the STEM fields and your kid's like, well, I'm not a scientist. Well, you don't have to be in a lab to get be in a STEM field.
Yeah, listen, I was, the irony of all that is I was a political science major who barely got through physics, right? I had to beg my professor to get a C because I was on a naval ROTC scholarship. And if I got a D, I was going to lose my scholarship at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. I got a C. And then a year and a half later, with Navy training, I'm out on this plane with a crew of 12, tracking a Soviet submarine underwater, using underwater physics and sound velocity profiles dynamics to figure out where the sub was. So you're right. I mean, it's that inspiration came simply around a passion for aviation. I just like planes, and to your point, I hope in this book, somebody that likes planes, somebody that likes to swim, somebody that likes being an engineer of the ship or guiding the ship or navigating the ship, just incredible adventure there for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, going back to Andy, the Admiral, and the USS Shipshape, helping the first step to helping kids get into the STEM fields is giving them these basic values that were so common a few generations ago that aren't so common anymore.
Exactly. Listen, if you're going to build a plane or you're going to be on a ship and as you're talking, we're bringing that ship into port, you've got to be on time, right? You've got, one of the other things I talk about in the book is think ahead. And I say, it's a bridge scene and it shows Andy the Admiral and the chart's out and everybody's looking at the chart and it just says, Andy's always prepared and thinking ahead. You got to do that, right? And that's a habit that will serve you well throughout your life. And I say that all the time with our daughters as we're getting ready to pull up to an exit or pull up somewhere, okay, get your shoes on, get your wallet. Start thinking, where do you need to be 10 or 15 minutes ahead? So we're just, we're getting there. And then, oh, Dad, just calm down. Okay.
No, but this is going to be a quick, this isn't, right. We're going to in and out and on our way. Buc-ee's, we can take our time at.
That's right. Been there, done that, right?
Tell me, what was you were mentioning, getting all the details. Have you heard any reaction from your military pals?
No, I'm a little bit shy of the actual release date. So it is right now going to be released on September 1st. So I'm not sure when we'll publish the podcast, but hopefully by then. I've shown the PDF version to quite a few friends, and gosh, I got to tell you, they love it. They're elated, and these are non-military folks too. So I don't want you to think you got to be in the military to understand it, because you will understand all these concepts. And I'm very fortunate that I've been working with a publicist who's helped me get it in front of a couple of awards, and we've already got a couple pre-publishing awards. So that's just very exciting that we'll have that at launch time.
That's fantastic. Really is fantastic. And just one of the things you're talking, and we're talking military. My daughter was in the music business and loved it and was part of the production team at the House of Blues.
Oh, wow.
And if you're talking about precision and timing, you're talking about a rock and roll concert. I know, musicians have this, they're just coming, float in and out.
It's execution.
Exactly.
Yeah. So all of our daughters danced. Our oldest, the middle one and the oldest did, tap, jazz, ballet, and then the oldest went on to dance at the collegiate level. And gosh, you talk about practice and timeliness. And guess what happened if they showed up late for practice? It wasn't good, right?
Mm-hmm.
The coach was good and she was tough. And if you showed up late for practice, there were ramifications. So, and it showed when they went to Orlando and would compete in a national competition, the excellence. Just exactly what you said, whether you're a musician or a dancer or any professional or any artist, that's very important.
Yeah. And, I've had executives, on different podcasts. And one of the things that, was taught to me by a very successful international, businessman, he said to me, I can train anyone, basic person. I can train that person to do the job. Right. What I can't do is teach them how to be a good teammate. Yeah. Teach them how to work as a team. So if you send me somebody that's a good teammate, he or she's gonna be successful.
Yeah. I mean, I've always thought that in the legal profession, that's it. A lot of times although I've become an aviation lawyer, I pretty much tell everybody, to your point, you can train for anything. You just need somebody to help you and to teach you and to have an open mind. And if you've got the right attitude, whatever you want to do, you can do it, and just go for it if the door opens.
Yeah. Hey, how much more fun was it writing Andy the Admiral in the USS Shipshape than writing a legal brief?
A lot more fun. Still amount of creativity involved, right? Because you're trying to persuade. But I got to tell you, and the precision and the excellence is important, but it's just a lot more fun and rewarding. I tell people all the time, right? I focus on work, I focus on my family, and then I focus on something else. And the something else for me right now is writing and speaking. And that's very selfish, right? That's something that brings me a tremendous amount of joy. Not that work or family don't, but that's really for me. So it's fueling, it's fun, it's exciting, as you said. Each step along the way, when you go from the storyboard sketches to you actually see the first black and white, and then you see the color, and then you see it in a PDF, and then each step brings you a lot of joy. And then, of course, the big day is, like you said, the unboxing, when your first initial shipment of books arrives, and it's just a small set of 25 or so, but your heart is racing when you're opening that box.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Hey, let's tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Andy the Admiral and the USS Shipshape, and find out more about you. Sure.
Listen, we'll see if I can get this right. So the website is the Ship Shape Shipmates.com. You can find out everything you want to know there. And the neat thing is, for schools and for education, I'll also have about a 35-page 6-week lesson plan that will be available for free on the website in a PDF downloadable form, so students and teachers can actually follow it along. But there it'll be at the shipshapeshipmates.com.
We've had a really fun time speaking to the author of Andy the Admiral and the USS Shipshape. Our guest has been Mark Fava. Hey, Mark, thanks so much for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you so much. I sure enjoyed it.
Hey, my friends, I want to tell you about a coffee company I recently discovered that really lines up with the values we talk about right here at Reading with Your Kids. It's called Afrera Coffee Company, and they're doing things the right way. The coffee is sourced directly from certified Rainforest Alliance farms in Central and South America, with a big focus on farms in El Salvador. I love El Salvador. They work directly with local farmers, support sustainable farming practices, and even use recyclable and combustible packaging. Now, all of that would already make me feel good about supporting them, but honestly, the coffee itself, it's fantastic. You can really taste the quality. The beans are grown in rich volcanic soil and carefully roasted, so the flavor really comes through smooth, rich, and super aromatic. Now, whether you're somebody who loves a strong espresso to get moving in the morning, or you prefer a lighter roast while reading a good book, Afrera has something you're going to enjoy. And this is kind of beautiful. 5% of all their sales goes to charities helping conserve and preserve the great outdoors. So if you'd like to try coffee that tastes amazing and supports good people doing good work, head on over to afreracoffee.com. That's AFUERA coffee.com, and use the promo code READ to get an exclusive 15% off your order. And of course, when you use the code, you're also helping support the podcast. Great coffee and helping families grow closer together. I call that a pretty magical way to start your day. You know, one of my favorite family memories growing up, and honestly still today, is gathering around the grill in the summertime. Good food, kids running around laughing, maybe somebody reading on a picnic blanket while dinner cooks. There's just something magical about it. And speaking of cookouts, I want to tell you about a company our family has been enjoying called Big Fork Brands. Now, friends, this is not ordinary cookout food. Big Fork makes incredible bacon sausage, craft jerky, meat sticks, and those amazing Chicago-style sauces that instantly level up burgers, hot dogs, fries, all your cookout favorites. Their bacon sausage is kind of legendary. They combine hardwood smoked bacon with premium pork and create flavors like hickory and applewood, maple and brown sugar, and spicy 3-pepper. Honestly, it sounds fancy, but it's really just fun, delicious food families can enjoy together. And another thing I really appreciate, they work with small Iowa farms, raising heritage hogs outdoors without any antibiotics. So there's a real commitment to quality and sustainability behind everything they make. So here's my challenge to you this summer. Plan a read together cookout night. Fire up the grill. Put the phones away for a little while. Enjoy a great meal together. And in the evening, reading together as a family. And to help make it happen, Big Fork Brands is giving our listeners an exclusive 20% discount. Just head on over to bigforkbrands.com and use the promo code READ at checkout. Great food, great conversation, great books. That sounds like real magic to me. Join us right now from the great state of Texas. Our guest is here today to celebrate her debut children's picture book. It's Omar and the Super Tales, the first day of school. Please welcome to the show, Nikki Girl. Hey, Nikki, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Delighted to have you on Omar and the Super Tales. Tell us about these folks.
Okay. Well, first, let me introduce myself. As you stated, Nikki Girl. I am in Texas, as you stated, but originally from New York City, born and raised. Came in the military at 18, spent 26 and a half years, retired back in 2019, and did some substitute teaching, and spent this last year creating Omar and the Super Tales, first day of school, because from 2019 until this past year, I was substitute teaching, as I stated, and my favorite group of kids were the kindergartners, first graders. And I wanted to write a book that I could put on their shelves, but also an ode to my son. Omar is a character that is based on my now 28-year-old son, and his many first days of schools he had growing up in a military life that he did not choose. And the book is hopefully a conversation piece, because I think adults, we get so caught up in our world, and we have first days too, but we go on. but our little ones, we drop them off and we're like, oh, you're going to have a good day, and sometimes they're scared. And we say as parents, because we're so in a rush, it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And we kind of minimize those feelings. And so hopefully this book gives, parents, guardians, teachers alike, a great opportunity to have that conversation. What does first day feels like?
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. Hey, first, before we talk about the book, I want to thank you for your service. 26 years serving our nation. What a beautiful gift you gave to me and my family and the whole country. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for that.
Very much for that. I appreciate that. And, you're touching on something that we've talked a lot about here on the podcast from a slightly different angle.
Okay.
I'm always encouraging families. I recognize the kids are doing almost everything for the first time. And it's wonderful because it's like, wow, that's, I got my first letter in the mail. Whoa, that's
right,
so cool.
right.
And to try to put yourself in your kids' shoes and perspective so that you can experience that wonder at the same time, because it's a great thing. But at the same time, we have to take our kids seriously when they are doing that thing for the first time that's making them nervous. We have to respect that and show, I think, more respect than what many of us do.
Absolutely. I do feel the same. And to give words to it, because they don't know what those feelings are. They just know it's some kind of anxiousness, and it comes out as some kids act out because they just don't know what to do. Some get very, very quiet and they're in the corner. And I see that as a substitute teacher, and I'm sure for all the educators out there, they are going to see those first day jitters here shortly as our kiddos go back to school. And so I just remember having those conversations with my son, and letting him know he's going to be okay. But I feel like sometimes I probably, skipped a step, just dropped him off and went on with my day. And so maybe this is a way also for me to make up for those times that I didn't get it right,
Well, the parenting doesn't come with a manual.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
So
it would be nice if it did.
It would be, but I don't read manuals. So,
and you know what? I don't typically follow rules all that great. So the book probably wouldn't have been helpful for me anyway. I probably would have did it my way anyway.
You know what? I was thinking, what was it like? And this is kind of off the subject, but what was it like the first day of being in the military for you?
Oh my goodness. So, that's a great question. So I remember, I graduated from high school, and 2 weeks later, I was in basic training here in San Antonio, right? So full circle. And I remember thinking, I need to get away from my parents because I was ready to leave. But then coming in, training was fine, but it was the first base that was nerve-wracking for me because I was in the middle of nowhere. I was upstate Michigan, an hour away from Canada. And I'll tell you a quick story. I remember getting on a big plane and then a little prop plane where you can hear the engine. So I'm already nervous. And I remember flying in and seeing all these trees, that I've never seen so many trees in my life. Okay. We sporadically have it in New York City, but not the trees that I saw. And I kept thinking about that movie Alive. I don't know if you remember that movie Alive. So I was thinking about that. And so I'm flying in. There was an older couple behind me, and they said, are you going to school up here? And I'm like, who puts a school up here? Right. Cause like, who's doing that? And I remember saying no. And I said, no, I'm being stationed up here. They asked me where I was from. I said, oh, I'm from New York City. Oh, you're going to like it up here, dear. They ice fish and deer hunt. I was like, what in the world? And so you can imagine what my first day was like. They did deer hunt season. People shut things down. But I do remember, being very quiet. I am a functioning introvert. That didn't have a name for it back in 93, but a functioning introvert. And, that first day was first day of everything. First day of getting on a prop plane. First day of upstate Michigan. Everyone looked like Elmer Fudd. They had a flannel jacket. It was like a culture shock. So I had a lot of first days.
I guess so. And imagine you must have been sitting there going, how do you fish for ice?
Yes. They had to explain it to me. They were like, they dig a hole. They put they said an ice, chain, I guess a tent. They dig a hole. And in my head, I'm like, well, doesn't the ice melt? Because they said they bring a heater out there. And they were like, oh no, the ice is really thick. I'm like, well, how do you know that? And they said, we just know. And I said, does anyone ever fall in? And they're like, yeah, every year.
Yeah.
I'm like, does that sound okay?
Yeah. This city boy, I remember I was working in a detention center, and it was on a lake. And I remember the first time kids were asleep and we were off, and it was midnight, and they're like, "Yeah, let's walk out on the lake." And I'm like,
right.
"What?" And we actually walked out in the middle of the lake on the ice, and I'm like, this doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense at all. It doesn't make sense. But at the same time, the people up there, when I talk about New York, they're like, "Oh, you guys are always in a rush to do something." And I'm like, "Well, I don't, I don't think that's the same danger as me getting on the ice with you saying I'm fishing. We get our fish from the store. I'm okay with that. We go to the fish market. There's a fish market. I'm okay with that. I don't need to go get it."
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So when you're substitute teaching for these little ones, and was it just was it there's something inside you saying, Nikki, you gotta write a kid's book?
So that's a great segue. So when you substitute teach, they allow you to teach all the grades, and I had the opportunity. But the kindergartners are my favorite because they remind me of little New Yorkers. They have no filter. They're going to tell you how they feel. They can care less about your feelings. And I love that. Right. And it's a fun group. We sing, we dance, and reading time is my favorite. And, because I've been doing it for a couple of years, I don't know. It was just one day I said, it would be nice if I could put my book on their bookshelf. And that's when I came up with the idea. I've always been a writer my whole life, but when I retired, I didn't know what I was going to write, but it came to me when I was reading to the kiddos.
Yeah. It must have been very, very rewarding. Have you had a chance to read your book to those kiddos?
Yes. I not the new school year, but I have since writing the book, I have been going to local independent bookstores here in San Antonio. In fact, I have one coming up this Saturday, and then next Saturday, full circle moment, I'll be on base reading the book to the on base kids, serving the veterans. So that's going to be awesome. But and I love it because Omar and the Super Kids, you probably can't see it. Omar is the center character, but the other characters are animals.
Oh.
And so, hence the Super Tails.
Yeah.
And so, I get the kiddos to look at the characters and see what they identify with. And each character has a superpower. Omar is going to school. He's nervous. And he's nervous about being the smallest. Not because he's got animals, right? Because adults, we think, well, what? Kiddos, they're not thinking that either. So I put myself in their shoes. And so we have Giraffe, because there's always the tallest one in the group, right? Omar's the smallest. We have Lola, who's in a wheelchair. We have Milo the monkey, who has ADHD. And we have Ellie the elephant, who wears glasses. And so touching upon different things that make them unique, but they're all the same. They're all having that first day of school. So
yeah. And one thing that just occurred to me is that obviously I think most people hear first day of school, they're thinking of the kindergartner going to school for the first time, the preschooler going to school for the first time, maybe the first grader going to the bigger school for the first time. But the reality is, every year our kids going to the
Right.
first day of school. And every
Right.
year it comes with anxiety and
Right.
what's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And how do we have those conversations?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's important to have those conversations.
Mm-hmm. I was actually having a conversation with a parent about how different it is raising kids back then when my son, I'm grateful, but now we have a lot of screen time, and how it's really important to make that time to sit down and have these conversations. And instead of sticking the screen in front, how about
Mm-hmm.
we talk about it, you know?
Yeah. 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 So important. Hey, I love the fact that you are reading to kids at military schools, on the bases.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I had the pleasure, I did educational magic shows for 35 years and had the pleasure of performing at a couple of military bases.
Oh,
And
wow.
the schools there were wonderful. The kids were fantastic.
Yes.
Respectful, polite,
Yes.
talk about diversity.
Mm-hmm.
The most diverse
Mm-hmm.
classrooms, and
Mm-hmm.
everything was clean. It didn't always have the newest equipment or the shiniest toys, but you went in there, and the kids really appreciated me being there and let me know it. And it was a lot of fun.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. What a great opportunity for you. And you
I
said you did magic?
did educational magic shows. Yep,
Oh,
absolutely.
wow. I don't think I've ever seen an educational magic show before.
Well, hopefully it doesn't seem much different than a regular magic show. We just, use the magic to tell stories that have a message in it. And the message that it started off back in the 90s. At first it was like, say no to drugs and say no to
Right. Okay.
that kind of stuff, make healthy choices. But then it very quickly morphed into anti-bullying presentations, as that kind of went across the country. And I realized, and it was wonderful for me, because I realized that if we want to build a bully-free school, what we really need to do, we don't need slogans, we don't need kids yelling, I won't bully. What we need to do is to help them build a culture of respect and cooperation within the school, and then the bullying doesn't happen. Or if it does, kids stand up for each other.
Right. They know how to identify and go tell somebody that this is going on instead of allowing it to continue.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my service, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, wow. I would have loved to see that. That's wow.
Well, thank you. Well, maybe we'll figure out a way to get down to San Antonio. And
Yes. Why not? Why not? And I bet the kiddos would love that.
I hope so. One of the things I learned, I saw on your website, is that you're also the creator of Story Lantern.
Yes.
What's that all about? Tell me what that's about.
So, Story Lantern, the full brand is Story Lantern, where little lights become legends. And there's a little light in each one of our children that along the way, they are learning and growing and becoming little legends. And so that is my brand.
I like that. Little words that we use are so impactful to kids.
Mm-hmm.
When the everyday vocabulary is announcing to them, you're a legend.
Yes.
You can do it.
Yes.
I was speaking to an author not too long ago, and one of her characters had a lot of energy, like the monkey in your book, and she referred to the character as acrobatic. And I thought, what a great...
Right.
If I was one of those kids, I would have loved to have had someone say, "Oh, he's very acrobatic," instead of he's a pain in the butt.
Right. In fact, Milo in the book, he says, they tell me I have ADHD. All that means to me is that I have a lot of Zoom in me.
I love it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How does Malcolm feel now that he's the star of a book and kids all over?
Omar. It's
Omar. I'm sorry.
Yes. Funny thing. So when I was creating the book, he had no idea what I was doing. He just knew I was like in front of my computer a lot. and he knew that I wasn't, working. So he was like, "Ma, you retired. Why are you look like you're on the laptop like you were when you were working?" And I'm saying, I'm just, working through something. And so one day I just told him, I said, "I'm writing a children's book." And he said, "A children's book?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so I showed him, I can tell that, he felt very proud. And
Awesome.
I will have to tell you that, during this journey that our bond has become even stronger, because with the book, I need to build a website. So I went to Fiverr, right? And I
Hmm.
got a website designer to do my website. And, I was so excited to show my son. So I showed it to him, and he's so polite. He just kind of like half smiled at me. And I said, "Yeah." I was like, "You don't like it?" He was like, "Do you like it?" And I was like, "Yeah, because the book, I'm thinking, I'm of a particular age, so I'm thinking this is great." And he's like, "Yeah, if we were still in the 1990s." And so he said, "Give me a minute." And so he said, "Give me about 45 minutes to an hour." And so what you see right now is what he built, and he's about to rebrand it for me.
Uh-huh.
I'm about to launch the new website, I think in the next, 24 hours, where the book now has a lesson plan, vocabulary words. So I can, have the book in schools, and the teachers can use it as, another way for social emotional learning.
Hmm.
But, yeah, he did that. That wasn't what I got on Fiverr. And then he was like, "Well, how much did you pay them?" And I said, "Well, I don't want to tell you." He said, "You could have paid me." And I was like, "No, no. I've been paying you my whole life. No."
Well, I'm going to check back on the on the website just so I can see it. To see.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. When I tell you, give it about 24 hours. It's amazing. He is super talented, but I didn't know he knew how to do that.
Ah.
Right? Cause he has a bachelor's in kinesiology. He's like in the medical world. And so I just didn't know he had the talent to do that. And so, this last 6 to 8 months, he has been on this creative journey with me, helping me, just think outside of the box. So, it's almost like he is helping me the way I helped him when he was younger.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Beautiful. Full circle. Are we going
Mm-hmm.
to have more Super Tales in the future?
You sure will. One of the characters will probably make their appearance, the beginning or close to Mother's Day. One
Okay.
of them will make an appearance. The premise, each one of the characters will have their own, book, and they'll have their own storyline. So yeah.
Wonderful.
Hmm.
Wonderful. Well, please know that you have an open invitation to come back around Mother's Day, to celebrate the new book.
Oh
We'd
yes,
love
thank
to
you so
see you
much.
again.
I would love to join you all.
All right. All right. So let's tell everybody where they can go to learn more about Omar and the Super Tales first day of school, learn more
Yes.
about you, and see that great new website that Omar built for you.
Yes, you can follow me on Nikki Girl the author on Instagram. You can see me and my other author friends that make some beautiful children books out there. We are always on talking with one another. And, to find all things Omar and Supertail, you can go to story-lantern.com.
We've had a really fun time speaking to the author of Omar and the Super Tales. The first day of school is the debut picture book from our guest, Nikki Girl, who thinks kindergartners are just like New Yorkers. I love
Yes.
it. I love it. Nikki, thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and you have a wonderful day.
That's a wrap for this episode of Reading with Your Kids. We hope you'll join us for the next exciting episode of the show. If this episode made you smile or gave you something to think about, please consider sharing a link to the show with someone you love. Leave a 5-star review and, of course, subscribe to the show wherever you find your favorite shows. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful, starting with our guest, Mark Fava. Please be sure to check out Andy, the Admiral, and the USS Shipshape. We also want to thank Nikki Girl. Please be sure to check out Omar in the Super Tales of First Day of School. I want to thank my incredible team, Chris Stardy, Daylene Rose, Audrina Lopez. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the love and support and happiness that she brings into my life. And most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better, more caring, more empathetic place. And thank you for taking the time to give your kids the best chance of happiness in life. And you do that every single time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.